Nothing quite beats a nice glass of chocolate milk, some Dinosaur Fun Nuggets, and of course, Frank's Hot Sauce. Milk and Nuggets time. Resident Evil 2 is a good game. Resident Evil 2 Remake is a good game if Resident Evil 2 didn't exist. So, this is Fairlife milk, chocolate milk. It's a lot more richer, and it's different. It's more expensive too. So try it. It was on sale. Occasionally get it. This thing's not coming out. So, you'd be surprised how hard it is to find some time to sit alone, eat chicken nuggets, and drink chocolate milk. I mean, where do people find the time? So I got Resident Evil 2 for the PS4 on my PS4 Pro. Man, against my better judgment, but I was withholding because the whole Mr. X being stupid and following you around, and that's the least of the game's problems. That was a bit of a hot take. He does follow you around. It's really annoying. It's more so it just takes up time. It's like, oh, I'm going to do this puzzle. Oh wait, he's right there. Let me run to one side of the building, do a pot shot so he comes over there, to quickly run back to the room to do the puzzle and do the puzzle. That's just annoying. I don't think it makes better gameplay. But I can get beyond that. It wasn't for the other annoying things. I believe their game has a director, like, you know, kind of how Left 4 Dead and all and Resident Evil 4 had, where like if you do really good, it makes it harder. If you do really badly, it makes it easier. But that affects the zombies and just makes them awful bullet sponges. The problem is, you shoot them in the head, they're dead, they're zombies. That's what you're supposed to do. Now that Capcom has given you the ability to aim and freely shoot and all that good stuff, it makes it easier to kill the zombies. So what they do is make it so you empty a full clip of a pistol into a head of a zombie and it's still alive, but you shoot 3 times in the knee and its leg comes off. Where's the logic in that? And I know video games know the logic, but there has to be some sense of I forget the term, but basically everything lives inside this world, and there has to be some rules to this world. Otherwise, what's the point? And I know there's crazy things that happen in Resident Evil, but we're talking about one game, because every game functions differently. So that's annoying. I will admit, even though I have all this criticism, the game's good. Like, well, the gameplay is fun to run around and shoot. Got a shotgun, run around. The controls great. It looks visually stunning. The flashlight is actually worthwhile. It's not like one of those like, oh look, it's on for 5 seconds and then it's off, and it actually does its job of why won't this come out? It actually does its job of like shining light into parts where you don't have the lights dark, because that's realistic. Not the zombies, but the flashlight is. So you have that. It's cool that you can pick up things and combine it right into your inventory. So they took a lot of the care from previous games and like kept the good parts. I had no problem with tank controls before, but you know, understand you're not gonna have tank controls in this 3D environment. No one played Resident Evil 2 for its gameplay. You played Resident Evil 2 because the story, not running around and killing things. It's all about surviving. It's all about doing puzzles. It's all about experiencing the ridiculous story, but ridiculous in a good way. This game, I feel like, takes it away. I feel like there's significantly less puzzles, and I wonder if they dialed some of that back because of Mr. X chasing you through the police station. Like, that makes sense for you to pull it back, but it just feels like people like playing it for the puzzles. People like playing it for the story. So the puzzles I kind of messed up. There's a couple of good ones. It's enjoyable. It was just felt very puzzle light. The story. That's it's just visually, not visually, but it's like painful. It's just it's mainly the two campaigns. I got two campaigns. You pick one. Most people didn't realize you can pick Leon or Claire first in the first game, and cool, you did this. And then the second time you play it, you put another disc, you play through the other story. The thing is, that was an other story. What they do in this game, and it's the most frustrating thing, is that it's not another story. It is, and it's even more kind of annoying if you play as Claire first, because the original game, most people thought play Claire first and Leon second, and that was more of the intended storyline, or like the player's choice. But so I did this time around, and it just felt like it was took many steps back because I finished Claire's and I was like, all right, that's, that was fun, sure. Get to the second one, and instantly it just feels like, Claire, that's what Claire said happens. But here's what really happens, like mansplaining or something like that, where like Leon's telling you this is what originally happened, because you go through the same plot beats. Like, they cut off a couple other sections, but like you're doing the same things with the exception of one boss and a character. Now, don't quote me on this, but didn't the original, whoever you played first, you met Sherry, and whoever you played second, you met Ada? Because that's the reason why people said, oh, this is how it's supposed to go. This one, they always meet the same person. And spoilers, but this is another issue. I played Claire first. Hey, Mr. X is chasing me around. Yeah, that makes sense. I have Sherry's locket, and Mr. X is supposed to locate that. Play through on B. Mr. X chasing Leon around a whole lot more. And guess what? He doesn't have a locket. So why is he chasing him? No reason. No, just for gameplay. Just no reason, whatever. No story reason. No actual competence here. Not paying attention. And in the previous game, you had bosses that you both fight. But in this one, you're fighting the same creature. Normally, the before, when you're fighting the same boss, it's usually some kind of different stage of evolution. Like they have Birkin, he's one form when you fight on the lift tram going down, but I believe he's slightly different formed on the second time the tram goes down to extent. And so they both fight the same character, but the monster looks different, and there's a different ending. And it's very upsetting because there's also other gameplay aspects like, oh, you found this. Do you choose to leave this or take it? Original game, you would take it, and then your second playthrough, you wouldn't have the item because the storylines were so interconnected, and it felt like one story instead of a he said versus she said. And this one's like, oh, I'm just going to take all the items because I don't have to worry about somebody else taking the item, or like whether the item will be there, because it's going to be there, because magic hand wavy, who cares? Who cares about like preserving any form of integrity from the original game? That's what people love, that story, the interconnected two double lines. Hey, you do something here and it affects here. Now you do something here and then you do something here again. It's the same thing. Or maybe it's slightly different because you got the item over here in this storage room instead of this storage room. It just feels like a huge step backwards. And not like a knock against the game, but playing as Leon, the second playthrough, that end boss was just like Leon through story B was just like a cakewalk. The only reason why I got a bad time because I decided to take the photo reel from the sewers all the way back to the mansion and find the thing that I didn't need. What was like a weapon attachment or some health or no, it's ammo and weapon attachment. Didn't need either of them. Got to the final boss, was like, oh, shoot a couple times with a magnum, pull out the rocket, boom, dead. Like, I was like, I have all this ammo. What the heck? Claire, I was struggling a little bit. And I wasn't killing everything. I feel like it was pretty short early on to realize there's no point in pumping the zombie full of like 10 shots to the head with a pistol or whatever. It's not going to die because awful programming or decision choices. So, I was like just shooting him in the leg. Now, if you want to get around that problem, Capcom could have done something smart like they actually did with the stupid Ghost Survivors, and we'll not go talk about it. You're afraid that, like, oh, they know to shoot the head. Zombies are, they know to shoot the head of the zombies because that's what they do. That's, you kill them. Well, if you want to create tension in survival horror, you just put a lot of zombies. So I'm just curious if the game couldn't handle so many zombies on the screen that would actually make sense to make it actual horror. Like, I know there's long corridors, but then you put other type of, I know quick time events are awful, but maybe have a bunch of things where the zombies don't break in, but they're breaking through the glass windows and you gotta like dodge the hands when you're walking through there. It's a way to create tensions, and you could stab some hands and maybe they'll go away for a while, but they'll come back. Excuse me. So that's one example. Another example is what they did in Ghost Survivors, at least in one of them that's just mildly annoying, is give them body armor. You're in a police station. There's got to be somebody who's like, I'm putting on body armor. Why does no one have any armor? Even chest armor, whatever, or a helmet. Come on. Like, think. There are ways to get around this philosophy of like, oh, we'll just make them bullet sponges and they have to take a certain amount of damage depending on how good the player is before they die to make it challenging. That feels lazy. I mean, there are some situations, but in a survival horror thing where like you go around, and these are like the foot soldiers. These are the base entry point creatures. You're not supposed to be this like super challenging thing. They're supposed to be a challenge in numbers if you don't take care of them, but like not like, oh, this is the final boss. Like, think of other ways besides just upping their hit points arbitrarily or because you did really well. Like, make them look different. I don't know. I feel like that's a more logical reason. That was my last nugget. Still got some milk though. But it's so frustrating about that game. I don't, sure they had to remove the crows and spiders or whatever. I forget what else they removed just because they couldn't program it or made it harder because the previous version was just like you shot in a range, you didn't aim. But once again, you didn't play the game for the combat. So therefore, I understand that. But I just feel like it's a huge step back because it's disrespectful of the old campaign style and all the awesome things they did of interweaving two different campaigns. And also, why were they in the police station in the first place? Because the streets were overrun with zombies. I forget if the original Section B just had the person quickly jump to the police station without wandering around. I don't know. But the reason why they're in there, like, we can't go outside, we need to rush to safety with the police station, is because zombies are everywhere. And then you freaking go outside and there's no zombies around. There's no zombies around. You could say, oh, there's that pit there and they can't get across it. I'm like, zombies crawl over cars. Cars are not going to stop a zombie. Cars stationary for a while are not going to stop a zombie. Sure, they walked away, but then there's a bunch of explosions. They come back. Like, they have a helicopter explosion, so it's going to come back. You're running around, you go outside and you shoot some bullets. They're going to come back. And, like, the fact that it just feels empty and it doesn't feel like the same. I think it was, like, a huge, like, poor decision to go outside in the game. Like, to put that whole, like, the orphanage, sure, that was interesting. I forget that the whole police chief's irons his complete story. I know he, like, killed her or something like that. At least I thought he did. I forget exactly the angle they did. It has been almost a decade since I've played it on my GameCube. I really wish I would totally buy Resident Evil 2 on my PS4 right now, or on my Switch if Capcom wasn't annoying about its pricing. Because $30 for Resident Evil 4 on the Switch, or Zero, or Remake, awful. In conclusion, I need to drink this. Sure, Resident Evil 2 Remake is competent. No, not competent. Resident Evil 2 Remake is pretty fun if you turn your brain off and just run around and shoot things. just like you're not paying attention. I'm just going around, pow, pow, pow. Oh no, there's a monster. Run, 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 pow, pow, pow. But if, like, you're trying to pay attention to a story, you're trying to follow along, and if you're playing both campaigns back to back, because you know it's like a complete story, because like they even advertise it in one of the trophies or something, like get the full ending by play this. Like, no, it's that dials more into the whole he said she said, like, oh, Claire didn't tell the story right, let me do it, I'm Leon. And what they do with the writing and this bad acting is just awful. Like, they have Claire is fine at one point, and then she goes in the police station. This is off of Claire story A, and she's killing creatures. She sees a bunch of awful stuff. I think you even come across a liquor, and like you're like, oh my gosh, I gotta survive. This is awful. All this horror, blood, zombie cannibalism, blah blah blah. And then you walk down the steps, like, oh, hey Leon. She instantly turns into a schoolgirl. It feels like Japan is just like trying to cater to this whole shipping thing, or just like this whole, oh, Leon's just a heartthrob. Oh my gosh, I forget that I just saw 3 people get eaten alive and ripped apart, and I grabbed on somebody's shoulders and pulled them, and their intestines hanging out. Completely forgot about it because Leon's here. Oh, he's such a dreamboat. Like, she's asking like about the stuff, and he's like, oh, how are you? And then he asks about stuff, and then she's like, oh, I'm fine. Like, it's that whole dynamic. And it's like one of the only times that happens. Like, well, at least that's the only time it happens so awful. And it's not like the first time they meet, and it's not like at a down point. It's when zombies are around. It's when stuff is just starting. There's no reason for that. That's just out of place and awful. Awful writing. Awful dialogue, awful performance. Like, maybe if that voice actress did it a different way, or she was coached or directed to do it a different way, it would have come off better. But it came off as this stupid schoolgirl. It was awful. It hurt me every time I saw that scene. It's what did they do to this game? And it's even crazy that so many people are like, oh my gosh, this game is the greatest thing ever. I'm like, no, it's a pretty cool and fun random action game. You can run around and shoot some creatures, and it looks gorgeous. I'm not going to deny it. It looks fabulous. Looks amazing. But there's a lot of games that look amazing. There's a lot of games that like play fun and you can shoot things. There's not a lot of games that have a good continuous 2 intersected storylines. How many games can you name? This one's not it. I mean, all the Resident Evil fans already have it, so it's kind of like, it's alright. I would rent it. You could easily beat it, especially if you played it before in 10-ish hours. Maybe, depending on like how much searching you want to do, but I can tell you there's not a whole lot to search, and the score is just based on, your ranking is just based on how quickly you do it, not number of saves, and not how many first aid sprays you use. So it's like dumbed it down, just like how quickly can you run through this and shoot that thing. And you don't even have to shoot the thing. If you can just get to the end in 2 hours or whatever, congrats, you're getting S rank. You can spray yourself with first aid all you want. But it's a rental. Like, I honestly don't want to keep the game. I tried the Ghost Survivors, and I was kind of like, they're just sort of, oh, look, we're going to put a twist. Like, shoot this one and kill it. Poison bursts out. The third one's the worst, where it's kind of like, the creatures can regenerate, so only higher powerful shots can... You're saying that you have these creatures that can't die already because you pump 20 shots in them and they're dead. That's exaggeration. I know it's not 20. You can do 10 shots and they'll die or whatever. But and then they're like, oh, now that only stuns them. If you really want to kill them, you have to use high-powered bullets because reasons to make it harder. And they're like, but they're alternate storylines. Well, the Hunk one, I don't know if the Hunk or Fourth Survivor is canon or whatever. But like, it's like, hey, this person's dead, but you get to play with them as real life and run away and pretend they're alive. Yeah, I don't care. It's not fun. Like, I would rather play through the campaign, the main story again. I might play through reverse Leon A, Claire B once again before getting rid of it, but rent it. Just do yourself a favor, rent it. I'm all out. I've been out for a long time just ranting about this game. But we'll say nuggets are delicious.